Robert Clay Allison, 1840 to 1887. Civil War broke out. Allison joined Phillips' Tennessee Light Artillery Company in the Confederate Army. On January 15, 1862, he received a medical discharge for emotional instability resulting from a head injury as a child, but in September he re-enlisted as a cavalryman with Company F, Colonel Jacob B. Biffle's 19th Tennessee Cavalry. The regiment was with General Nathan Bedford Forrest in the fall of 1864 through the spring of 1865 and surrendered at the war's end with Forrest's Cavalry Corps. He was a prisoner of war in Alabama from May 4 to 10, 1865. After the war, Allison moved to the Brazos River country in Texas. Allison soon signed on as a cowhand with Oliver Loving and Charles Goodnight and may have been among the 18 herders on the 1866 drive that blazed the Goodnight-Loving Trail. He was in Colfax County, New Mexico, by the spring of 1871 when he accidentally shot himself in the foot while he and some companions stampeded a herd of General Gordon Granger's army mules as a prank. In 1872, Allison's future brother-in-law L. G. Coleman and ranching partner I. W. Lacey moved to a spread in Colfax County, New Mexico. Allison drove their herd to the new ranch for a payment of 300 cattle, with which he started his own ranch near Cimarron. Eventually he built it into a lucrative operation. Allison was a heavy drinker and became involved in several brawls and shooting sprees. On October 30, 1875, he may have been in a mob that seized and lynched Cruz Vega, who was suspected of murdering a Methodist circuit rider. 2 days later, Allison killed gunman Pancho Griego, a friend of Vega, in a confrontation at the St. James Hotel in Cimarron. In January 1876, a drunken Allison wrecked the office of the Cimarron News and Press because of a scathing editorial. He allegedly later returned to the newspaper office and paid $200 for damages. In December of that year, Clay and his brother John were involved in a dance hall gunfight at Los Animas, Colorado, in which a deputy sheriff was killed. For this, Allison was arrested and charged with manslaughter, but the charges were later dismissed on grounds of self-defense. Allison was arrested as an accessory to the murder of 3 black soldiers the following spring, but evidence was sketchy and he was soon acquitted. In 1878, he sold his New Mexico ranch to his brother John for $700 and moved to Hemphill County, Texas, on land located at the junction of Gageby Creek and the Washita River. By 1880, Clay and his brothers, Jeremiah Monroe Allison and John Allison, had settled on the Gageby Creek land next door to their sister Saluda and her husband Louis G. E. Coleman and fellow Tennesseans, the J. C. Hoggett family. Clay registered an ACE brand for his cattle. On February 15, 1881, he married Dora McCullough in Mobeetie, Wheeler County, Texas. The couple had 2 daughters. Though Allison served as a juror in Mobeetie, and though age and marriage had slowed him down some, his reputation as the Wolf of the Washita was kept alive by reports of his unusual antics. Once he was said to have ridden nude through the streets of Mobeetie. In 1883, he bought a ranch located on the Texas-New Mexico border northwest of Pecos and became involved in area politics. On July 3, 1887, while hauling supplies to his ranch from Pecos, he was thrown from his heavily loaded wagon and fatally injured when run over by its rear wheel. He was buried in the Pecos Cemetery the next day. On August 28, 1975, in a special ceremony, his remains were reinterred in Pecos Park, just west of the Pecos Museum.